A quick piece of content to show you how evaluating your grip can point you in a direction when it comes to selecting a spring rate. First, a disclaimer. There are many elements that affect grip in getting a fast car. These include ride height, caster, camber, toe, shocks, and brake bias, to name a few. We're going to simplify the analysis in this video, and with other things remaining the same, focus on an evaluation of our grip level to help to determine a direction regarding spring rates. So what affects grip? The tire compound we are running has perhaps the greatest effect. A street tire versus a race tire, or R compound tire. In general, the tread wear rating indicates how much grip is available for a given tire. For us, the lower the tread wear rating, the better, and the more grip that is available out of that tire. There's grip inherent in the track surface as well. A smooth track versus a rough track. Road America and Mid-Ohio would be examples of a smooth track surface with higher levels of available grip. While Sebring is very bumpy, and parts of Heartland Park and Topeka were low on grip and especially brutal on tires, at least until it was repaved a few years ago. The temperature of the racing surface also affects the grip level we have. While running at Autobahn Country Club several years ago in August, the outside temperatures were over 100 degrees. I was running a 1995 Miata with Kumo XS tires, a DOT but grippy tire. And on later sessions in the day, when temperatures were at their peak, about 2 to 3 laps in, I could feel the grip levels going away. It felt like someone put a layer of butter between the tires and the track surface when I was requesting grip from the tires. It was a very odd feeling. For a production car, aero effects are primarily negligible. Although air dams, splitters, belly pans, diffusers, and rear wings do affect downforce and increases grip, but they may also increase drag. Caution must be made with aero mods and the type of track you're at. Tracks with high-speed corners, such as Mid-Ohio, get the most benefit from added aero, while lower-speed tracks with more corners, such as Groton or Blackhawk Farms, not so much so. And of course, mechanical grip, available from the suspension geometry and the components in the unspring weight, which is where we now turn our attention. If you've been around racing long enough, you know there's endless debate about running stiffer versus running softer, having roll angle versus not having roll angle. The discussions are on the internet and in the paddock. We intend to simplify this analysis from the perspective of what we seek most in chassis setup, and that is grip. You can spend hours using math to try and determine an optimal spring rate, but the best thing you can do is take your car on track and evaluate what works best for you. What works for someone else may not work for you. You may have a different brake technique, or there may be other differences in your driving style. At your next track event, take your car on track and observe what it does. On initial driver input, say turn-in or initial throttle application, how does the chassis respond? If it starts to slide immediately after input, then think running softer. You can accomplish this with tire pressure or with springs. If, however, there's some lateral load transition and the car takes a set, then begins to slide, then think running stiffer. Again, you can accomplish this with tire pressures or with springs. Since you're at the track, swapping out springs may be too time consuming. So you are stuck with changing tire pressures or swapping out or adding spring rubbers. Watch yourself if looking to go softer with tire pressure, because at some point the tire will lose support. In general, make the change at the end of the car that's affected. For instance, if you notice a slide on turn-in when the front suspension is loaded, then make the adjustment on the front. If on throttle application when the rear suspension is loaded, make the change on the rear. If you're unsure, make a change and see what happens. You can always go back. Keep a detailed logbook of the changes you make and the result. Also keep a record of the outside air temperature, temperature of the track surface if you have an infrared temperature gauge, and which track you're at. Only change one thing at a time, because otherwise you won't know which change made the result. As the disclaimer at the start stated, many topics were left out of this discussion. We only sought to simplify this analysis from the perspective of an evaluation of grip to determining a spring rate. We'd love to hear from you. If you liked or got something from this video that you can use right now at the track, click subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a comment. CallTheGrid.com is about you. If there are any issues you have been struggling with regards to your car's performance, chassis setup, or performance driving, post those in the comments as well, and we may address those in a future presentation. Like our Facebook page, which has content from across the world of road racing. We promise no politics or pictures of kids and graduations. Check out our Instagram feed where you can see what it's like to be called the grid. We're also on Twitter. To see more content like this, visit callthegrid.com. There you can get everything you need to be successful on the track. Helmets, racing suits, balaclavas, Nomex socks, chassis setup equipment, and what you need for the shop and paddock from Bell, Simpson, OMP, Alpine Stars, Longacre, and other leaders in the industry. We are an exclusive dealer for AST suspension. We have you covered with apparel for the driver's meeting, racing-inspired art for the home, and other gear and merch to show your love for road racing. As always, peace out, be safe, have fun, and go fast.